Well, it is election day across the country, including in Virginia, where the contentious race for governor between Democrat Terry McAuliffe and Republican Glenn Youngkin will be decided. The two candidates differ on major issues facing the state, such as abortion and education. Joining us now is Vince Coglianese, Editorial Director of the Daily Caller. Vince, welcome back. Always great to see you. Well, it is election day across the country, as we know, but the race that's getting the most attention, of course, is the Virginia gubernatorial race. Vince, let's talk about that and what's at stake.
It's a huge deal. And the reason that the Virginia race in particular, this is where I'm broadcasting from today, gets so much attention is because the Republican has a genuine chance of winning here. Terry McAuliffe is the Democrat, former governor of Virginia. He's hoping for a second chance at the job. Glenn Youngkin, a newcomer to politics, the Republican, is polling very well right now. All of the latest surveys have shown that this race is indeed neck and neck. There was one Fox News poll that showed that Glenn Youngkin was ahead by 8 points. This is a situation that Democrats and most people did not expect to ever be taking place. Terry McAuliffe, not really a good political candidate, didn't really matter. The expectation was that Virginia was going to stay as blue as ever. A Republican has not won a statewide race in the Commonwealth of Virginia since 2009. But today, Glenn Youngkin has a very real chance of being the first Republican to do that in well over a decade. And it's got Democrats very nervous, not only about Virginia, but also about the direction of their agenda after Election Day. Should Terry McAuliffe lose, Democrats in Washington are believed to take that as a sign that their policies and the direction that they're taking the country in are being voted down, even in blue areas like Virginia.
Vince, I want to back it up there. You know, you said this race is really, really close, kind of neck and neck. We know that President Biden won Virginia in the 2020 presidential election. What happened to kind of turn the tide and make this race so close?
The big issue and where Youngkin has succeeded is education. That is just the biggest thing that's dominating all the conversations. There have been a couple surveys done lately that demonstrate that among Virginia voters, the issue that they think is number one is their concern about the education of the children in Virginia. Now, the guy who's got the edge on that's Glenn Youngkin. Glenn Youngkin has, I believe, somewhere around a 7 or 9 point edge on the issue of education. And it's really not a surprise. I mean, a lot of these school boards where you've seen the most controversy, these counties where you've seen the most controversy, they're controlled by Democrats. And people of all political stripes, certainly Republicans, absolutely independents, you're seeing that in the surveys, and even a few Democrats are very unhappy with the way that the schools were closed over the duration of the pandemic. As they get open, they're dissatisfied with the nature of those openings and the way that they continue to be locked down. And they're also dissatisfied with the quality of education that their children are or maybe aren't even receiving. So as a result, you're seeing a huge pushback led by parents. And the reality here is, Tracy, that Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat, just a couple of weeks ago in a debate made a world-class gaffe on stage when he said that he doesn't think parents should be in the business of telling schools what they should teach. He said those words. That is about as bad as it gets when it comes to politics. You don't insult parents. That's what he did, and now he could be paying the consequences on Election Day.
Absolutely. As a parent of two teenagers, I know that well. When you get parents involved, watch out. Not a whole lot of time left, Vince, but I want to talk about the other important elections tonight. Folks in New Jersey head to the polls to vote for their governor, and New York is also holding a mayoral race. Let's talk about that. What's going on there?
Well, in New York, it seems like Eric Adams, the Democrat there, is likely to prevail over Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, just because of the party nature of this race. Eric Adams, a former police officer, is in a good position to win. He is not seen as crazy as other Democrats, to include the current mayor, Bill de Blasio, is. He's even kind of, not fully jumped in on the vaccine mandates that are driving so many New York City frontline health workers and first responders to leave their jobs this week. So Eric Adams, my guess, will prevail here in New York. Again, very strong Democrat stronghold. And then meanwhile, in New Jersey, the Republican there is definitely making this a race. I think there was one survey this morning that showed that he's trailing Phil Murphy by just 1 point. But Phil Murphy, even so, likely expected to win this thing. The knock on Phil Murphy, there are many, but one of the big ones is that among nursing home deaths during coronavirus, his state led the country. And that's a product of him having very similar policies to those controversial nursing home policies in New York that led to so many people dying of COVID within the nursing homes.
All right, Vince, thank you so much for your time. We'll see how everything shakes out tonight. Vince Coglianese, Editorial Director of the Daily Caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy.